Cool. So welcome everyone to the 2020 APAC Groundbreakers Virtual Tour by APAC OUZ. And this year our event would be the biggest one ever done with 174 sessions. That's including normal sessions, workshops, and hands-on labs from 123 different speakers over 11 days. Also, it would cover sessions in 4 different languages. So please remember to register to as many sessions as you can, and all sessions would be available to replay as many times as you want for 2 weeks after the initial session date and time. You can also interact with the speaker at any time during that 2 weeks by posting questions or comments directly in the playback session page. Now, first things first, I would like to say thanks to all Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, Oracle Groundbreakers and CloudDB. Now for today's session, Architecting Cloud Computing Solutions with Java by Otavio Santana. Please feel free to write questions at any time during the session at the Q&A tab of the Zoom webinar, and the speaker would be answering them at the end of the session. If any issues during the presentation, please feel free to contact me at any time on the chat tab of the Zoom webinar. Now, without any more delays, I would like to leave you with this amazing session by Otavio. Take it away, Otavio.
Okay, thank you. So let's share my screen. Hello, everybody. That's amazing to be here to talk about architecturing cloud computing solution with Java. My name is Otavio Santana. My Twitter handle is Otavio Java. And today let's discuss more about, what's going on with cloud, what's going on with Java. Is Java ready to the cloud age? So that's the whole context of my presentation today. But before, my name is Otavio Santana. My Twitter handle is at OtavioJava. I'm dev hair engineer at Platform SH. Platform SH is a cloud company who helps you to move your product to the cloud. This way, you can deliver your product so fast because you don't need to worry about several processes. I'm gonna talk more about Platform SH later. Java champion, JSP executive member, Apache committer, Eclipse committer, Eclipse project leader. And yes, on my free time, I decide to write some books about Java technology. Okay, so let's start. So before start talking with Java, my first question is, what is cloud? What does mean cloud to you? Because that might be a huge answer, right? Because if you each person might have a different answer. To me, basically cloud is somebody else's computer. Is when I don't need or I don't want to care about hardware. Basically, I'm software company. I want to keep the software and I pay to somebody else to handle hardware to me. That's a classic analogy that we have here. Basically, I try to compare cloud with pizza because both are service and we have several kind of service and both are amazing as well. So I enjoy to eat pizza while play something in the cloud. Let's go to the first one. Make a home. Basically, I need to prepare and I need to have the whole know-how to do everything at my home. I need to pick the cheese, the toppings, the tomato sauce, the pizza, the fire, the oven, prepare the table and prepare the drinks and so on. These are probably cheaper solution that we have here. However, I need to handle the almost almost no everything and I need to have the infrastructure, I need to have the know-how. So that's mean I have more risk on my side. And let's move on. So the next one is take and bake. Basically, when I go uh, to to a grocery on a market, something like that, buy a pizza, and then go back to my home to put the pizza in my microwaves or something like that. I decreased the complexity because right now I don't need to handle the hardware and know how to handle hardware anymore. But I still need to handle something like the microwave or electric gas, and I still need to prepare my table and my soda. Okay, so in the cloud age analogy, right now we have infrastructure as a service. The next one is pizza delivery. Is basically I don't handle and I don't want to handle the pizza anymore. Basically, I take my phone, my cell phone, and order a pizza. Take the pizza. I just need to prepare my table, perhaps, or maybe if I want to, I can eat my pizza in my sofa while I'm watching the Netflix, something like that. Yes, you in the cloud you have something similar that is platform as service. Basically, is when you don't want to handle the application itself, you don't want to handle the database itself. Basically, you have the your code application, and there are several services that provides everything to you. Like, okay, I put my business in that business needs database or something like that. So connect that, and the platform as a service is gonna handle everything to you. The last one, I decrease to zero my risk. Basically, this one is dine out. So when I decide to go to restaurant, that probably you're not able to do it right now. I don't need to prepare the pizza. I don't need to prepare the table. I don't need to prepare the drinks. I just go there, sit down, and order everything, and there's no risk on my side. Probably this one gonna be more expensive, right? Because when you talk about software architecture, everything is a trade-off. You have the option to make a home, yeah, that's cheaper than any kind of solution. However, I have a couple risks to do this kind of decision. As I move on to the right side, I'm gonna decrease the complexity and decrease the risk because I put more abstraction. If I put some abstraction, probably somebody else is handle that to me, and that's me probably gonna be more expensive, at least somehow, because I do say something about it's agreed somehow because you pay somebody else to reduce risk you put more abstraction you don't need to handle any kind of details, for example backups, for example upgrade the database, something like that. So in your you know our architecture software we need to handle that trade-off everywhere. That includes the cloud solution choice, right? So let's move on. So I mentioned about cloud, and right now we have the new term, the new buzzword, the cloud word, that is cloud native. But what does mean cloud native? Because previously we had cloud ready, cloud friendly, and right now we have cloud native. The whole point right now is it is a green area that you need to explore. If you go to several articles, to several books and several companies, they probably have a different approach, different uh, configuration, definition to that term, right? So let's move on to a couple of companies, articles, and books about cloud native that I have right now to show. The first one is from Pivotal, and today cloud native is an approach to building and running an application that exploits the advantage of the cloud computing model. The next one is a book about For sure, cloud native, attaching cloud native application. It says that is a different way of thinking and about software system. Basically, it's more about operation to decrease the number of operation to zero or almost zero, where you need to use something about CI, CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment to make sure everything else is okay to you. Okay, so basically, this book says put almost everything or put everything as possible as automatically. So you use a lot of operation techniques, infrastructure as a code, and so on. The third one is an article from InfoWord. So to him, in general, cloud native is an approach to building and running applications that explore the advantage of the cloud computing delivery model. Cloud native is about how applications are created and deployed, nowhere. This one is a little bit similar to the third article, right? Right now, in this book here, the cloud native development partners and best practice, we have a new word that's DIRT. That means deploy, update, replace, and scale. Again, it is more about operation to decrease the number of operation and make at least everything as possible as automatically. Where if you decide to do a deploy, we have the pipeline to build the application, to run the tests. You have the pipeline as you merge any kind of PR. It's gonna be uh, to production as soon as possible. This one here is a book that's my favorite books, at least for now. It's mentioned about the cloud natives is more than a tool set. Basically, cloud it's a complete architecture, a philosophical approach for building an application that take full advantage of cloud computing. In this book, they mention about okay, in the past we had waterfall that we define a timeline to deploy application like every year, every 3 months, every monthly, daily, stuff like that. So we have a pipeline where we are not able need to wait until 6 months to release the first version. And then the current model we are living in the agile methodology. Right now we need to deliver a small piece of our products. We need to make sure the client give us feedback to improve um, better products. Okay, and right now the next generation of methodology, it's cloud native transformation, where we take the full advantage of cloud, where you're able to do merge and move your project so instantaneously. That means if you have a new feature, just merge. Don't need to wait until the end of the day. You don't need to wait until next week. Basically, the the feature is ready. Go for it. So put that in production as soon as possible. And that's not just about methodology perspective, but also architecture because it involves CI/CD, continuous integration, development, deployment, more tests, and make sure for sure when you merge the code and the quality is good enough to don't give us headache, right? There is this organization here that's Cloud Native Computing Foundation. It is a huge organization that has several companies who is cloud provider. And it has it is right now where we have several open source products to help your application to move in the cloud native. I'm gonna show later about the cloud native landscape and Friday, cloud native is technology empower organization to build and run scale application in modern environment. It has some samples like containers, service mesh, microservice, immutable infrastructure, declarative API. Those are some samples. I'm not sure about this approach because to me it has too much buzzword. And think about it. Okay, if you right now know that microservice is not a silver bullet, what happens if I decide to move my application to monolith? Is it still a cloud native application even if that is a monolith? Uh, but it is still a good definition, right? Beyond that, I saw several articles, books that says, okay, that's a new age of application. If you create an application that was born in the container environment or think about clouds, yes, that's cloud native. And that is it. Don't need to think too much about it. So a created application that's on the clouds, that's use container, that's fine to you. After I read several articles, books, and definition about cloud native, I decided to create my own definition. And to me, cloud native is a set of good practice to optimize an application in the cloud native through containers orchestration, where orchestration is one way to you manage your containers, and automation, right? Because we still need to have CI/CD. We still need to have several approaches to allow you to deliver a good software quality in the technical perspective and release feature as fast as possible in the management perspective, right? You need to merge the both view, perspective view, because we need to have an awesome code or an awesome technology, and for sure we need to have an amazing product that the client loves and where you can pay your bills. In the past, we usually say Java is war, that is, write once, run anywhere. And container is a unity or a package unity of an application, right? So, in the previous book from Aaron Gupta, he said container is Pora, package once, where you created a package and then you can run this container anytime. Therefore, package once run anytime. Okay, I defined what is cloud and then I went through cloud native. But let's talk a little bit more. The best practice to you create your application in the cloud native age. Unfortunately, there's nothing new about it. So we're still using the 12 factor application. This 12 factor application is like the 10 commandments to software to have a health system and make sure you don't gonna make any initial mistakes. For example, uh, when you have a source, please use any kind of code base such as Git with GitHub, Bitbucket, SVN, and so on. Depends outside the repository, please. So use any kind of management dependencies such as Maven, Gradle, NPM, and so on. Configuration outside the code, please. That means you don't need to use anymore the the password hard coded in your code. In the perfect world, you don't need uh, to put the credential information in your code. Basically, you can overwrite. Indeed, you are as developer, you don't even need to know about the credential to production. There are several ways to do that possible. In Java, we have several frameworks that allow you to do that. And this one is the most important. For sure, all those are important to follow. And the configuration for safety reason you need to do. For example, uh, you can create a system where you can override the password every 6 hours, 4 times a day, because your application don't need to know about it. Okay, this 12-factor application was inspired by this book here on my right, Partner of Enterprise Application Architecture by Martin Fowler. And the 12-factor application was created by Hiroko. That means that's even before the cloud native, right? So I guess this book here is even before cloud being popular. That's one rule old, however good. So that's important to follow and to read this book and these uh, factor applications. Okay. About the best practice, we have more books. So this one are old but gold. The first one is a clean code where it say you need to write a readable code to everybody else. For example, okay, I have several colleagues. I need to make sure that everybody else understand my code. And yeah, you need to make sure that you are gonna send somebody else code in your team. So explain you about the difference between data structure and object oriented. For example, the OOP or object oriented expose the behavior to hide the data, right? And then the second one is the clean architecture, where it defines layers to split your source code from infrastructure, your business from infrastructure. For example, given I have several rules, it does not make sense where your rules has any kind of lock-in with technology. Your client does not need to know about you are using Cassandra, MongoDB, or so on. We don't need to handle that. The third one is TDD, domain driven design. It's more about ambiguous language where you put your code closer to the business itself. For example, given I have an e-commerce application, probably I need to have entities such as user and products, items, and so on. The whole point here is make sure that your PO, the product owner, can actually have any kind of idea what's going on in the code. For sure, if he or she is not engineer or developer, they're not gonna understand everything. But if you create entities like search user, car, stuff like that, gonna be easier to be close to the code. The last one is effective Java. It has good practice to optimize your code to run Java application. It has several tips to run collection, lambda, string, and so on. Those are amazing books. If you are not Java developer, you can just read the three ones, the three first one, clean code, clean architecture, DDD. And if you are Java developer, you need to take on all. Okay, so read the clean code, read the clean architecture, the DDD, and yes, the effective Java. I previously mentioned about microservices. And here you go. There's an amazing book from Ed Toyanaga, a friend of mine, who right now is working at Red Hat. And he says that, okay, Just because Netflix or Amazon decided to use, that does not mean that you need to use, because probably you have different size of company, different kind of requirements. Don't feel guilty to don't use microservice. I know right now we are living the buzzword season where everybody is talking about microservice, but don't worry. Beyond that book, there are two books from Sun Newman. One is about microservice, and the latest one is about how to migrate your monolith application to microservice. And he usually starts with why you should not move your application to microservice, because basically you're gonna increase the whole complexity taking that decision, right? So make sure when you decide to move on to microservice, that's the right way to go. That's the right move to do go. Okay. Okay. Uh, this topic right now is to answer the question: is Java ready to the cloud native age? Yes, Java is ready to cloud native. And the first point of my answer is the JVM itself, because it has several optimization on the garbage collector to make sure that's going to work better and lighter than the previously version. It also have several improvements on containers. When I said container, does not mean only Docker. That's mean any container that follows the open container initiative. That means if you have any kind of container or your company has any kind of container that follow that instruction, it's gonna have the improvement as well. A better integration with the hardware. And yes, I release every 6 months, twice in the year. We have a Java version where one that is a flagship preview where you can, if you want to, you can try new features. Uh, Basically, the whole idea of the release 6 month is to make the product closer to the clients or the users that that are us, right? So the whole idea is to make closer uh, and quick feedbacks like agile methodology. Beyond the JVM, we have one more specification. That was Java EE. Right now, it is Jakarta EE. Right now, it is under Eclipse Foundation umbrella. Uh, I will say that that is the fourth generation, where the first one was when the Java EE belongs to the JVM itself. That's why in the past we had COBOL, XML processor, or something like that. And then the second generation we finally split. This time was when servers such as Tomcat was born. The third generation was when Oracle acquired Sun. And the last generation, the 40th generation, is right now where Oracle give the whole code to Eclipse Foundation to make it open, and even more transparency in the process to release version. Okay. Right now we are looking more for agile methodology. Therefore, we want to release a version every year instead of wait like 3 4 years. The whole goal right now is to release every year. And yes, we are looking for cloud native. We are thinking about cloud native. Um, we are thinking about tools that make easy to you follow, for example, the 12-factor application. Okay. Another product under Eclipse Foundation umbrella is Microprofile. Basically, it is a small piece of Jakarta E or Java E, where it has CDI injection, the penis injection, uh, JAX-RS to RESTful application, and JSON binding to process JSON. And beyond this three piece, furthermore, the three piece, we have more product that works better if you decide to go to microservice. Microservice is still not a bullet service, silver bullet, but if you want, you can use. Again, agile methodology to fast delivery. I guess every quarter it has a new version. So we have a couple product that is under Eclipse Foundation umbrella. So we have Jakarta EE that is right now the version 8, Microprofile that's moving to Java to the version 4. We have several tools or frameworks to make easier to us as a Java developer to move on the cloud age world. So we have Open Tracing, Open API, REST client configuration. Remember, the third aspect of the 12 factor is about don't put your credential in your code so you can override that from environments. That's why config does exist. Fault tolerance, metrics, JWT propagation, health, CDI, and so on. And there's much more. There's much more. Okay? Is there any question? Please let me know because I want to go to my demo time. If no, don't worry. Let's go to cloud native landscape. As I mentioned to you before, we have a couple of solutions in the cloud native. That's a huge word. We have over 1,000 solution. Let's put a zoom in here. We have a huge amount of solution where we have categories. For example, we have database, stream message, application, definition, CI, ECD, continuous integration, continuous delivery or deployment, scheduling orchestration, remote procedure call, and so API gateway. We have a couple solution. Why I usually show to you, containers. And first, because when I mention container, you need to think about container is much more than Docker. And native right now is much more than Kubernetes, right? Both are an amazing tools that make our life easier. However, we have a couple of solutions. We have, for example, PaaS, Plataforma as a Service. For example, my company here. So Plataforma SH is a cloud native company who helps you to deploy your application easily or deliver your product easily in the cloud. Okay, I'm gonna show to you just one simple application with platform SH. Okay, 1 second. Let's show to you here. That's the website. So let's share the link to you guys. Uh, Basically, what I can do with platform SH. I have my application here. Let's share the link. Where if you want to, you can run locally. That's a simple Maven application where you can see several dependencies. For example, we have Helidon. Helidon is a Oracle implementation of Microprofile. This application it's a microservice that use MongoDB as database. To make that the connection possible in the Java EE slash microprofile words, we are using Eclipse uh, Jakarta NoSQL. So we have and this project has the goal to make easy to you take your application and move uh, take your application and connect to a NoSQL database using Java, using the standard for sure. And as you can see, I have two dependencies. One to define the mapping. Think about JPA if you are a Java developer, Hibernate. Another one to make the communication possible. So think about JDBC, right? So Jakarta NoSQL is a specification that make you happy to connect Java with with NoSQL. In this case, I'm gonna use MongoDB. Jakarta NoSQL has two layers, one to mapping, JPA, and communication, think about JDBC. Also, we have several types of NoSQL database. In Jakarta NoSQL, we also provide several APIs to the specific type. For example, here we are using the document type. So let's show to you. So our term is document. And basically, with just one click, I'm gonna deploy this application in the cloud. So I click here and deploy in the platform stage. I put the name, hello. Now I'm gonna take the region, I know Europe, and then I'm gonna create the product itself. Okay. If I want to, we have the option to create your application from templates. It's creating the product right now. And let's create a new one here. So let's create from template. Hello to, I have the option to create the region again. Next. And as you can see, we have several templates in several languages. So we provide .NET, Go, Elasticsearch, where we have Elasticsearch with Kibana, Go, Java, Node.js, Ruby, and so on. So let's take, for example, Java here. So we have a couple of Java products that you can run in the cloud. Um, let's take one here. Let's take Quarkus because right now it's one of the most popular Java frameworks right now. And that is it. So I did a click. I define the time. I define the details. I define the template. So it's building my instance. Let's go back to the click one. If you remember, that's my view where I have the integration. If I want to, for example, the email integration, the setting, if I want, for example, the access, I can add people on that project, deploy key, variable, something like that. And one important thing is it is Git native. Therefore, you can work with your branch. So here, let's take the master branch where I basically created from that click three containers. One to define the route, one my application itself, and another one my service. Okay, and as you can see here, I can show the service, have my host, have my app. Let's click here where I'm using the Java version, the disk, and I have my MongoDB. okay, where I'm using the version 3.6. Don't worry, I'm gonna show to you. That's because to make that possible to deploy that application in the cloud, I have three configuration files. One to define the application, how I'm gonna create and how I'm gonna build this application. This one here, let's show. So we're gonna go deeper. And more two, one to define the how, and another one to define the service. The how and the service here. Okay, okay. So let's go back to the presentation. So the whole point of the whole solution and our platform state is we want to decrease the complexity to decrease the risk, right? Because today cloud has a huge complexity, and our goal is to decrease that, to make it easy to you take your application, move to the cloud on a technical perspective. And if you are an architect, engineer, if you are a manager, to take your team to a next level, to make your project go fast and fast, because your team, your technical team, does need to handle this detail about application, the service, and so on. Platform Stage is much more than a hosting. We provide several languages, as I mentioned. I showed to you. We have support to monolith, microservice, stateful, stateless application. It is infrastructure as a code, where you define what you want, and Platform Stage is gonna handle to you. If you remember, we need to handle three files. One to application, where we have the name, the type, the version, how to build, and how to run the application. And we also provide a relationship, because we need to make sure the right application has the access to the right database, or in the Microsoft Edge to the right application. The service, we define the name and the type and the version and this disk space and the host, right? So as you can see, app, the name of my application, go through HTTP. That's the whole idea. We have several runtime language: PHP, Java, Node.js, Go, Python, Ruby, C Sharp, several database, and we are running on infrastructure as service. Therefore, we have support to Amazon, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Orange. I don't have more time to show anything else. We have several clients. Those are amazing. We have over 1,000 clients. We have several support to the Java application, and that is it. So let's show quickly to you my application running. And if you have any question, as you can see, I just click the button and then I create my Quarkus application. If you want know more about cloud native, cloud, platform SH, the solution that we have, several articles, please take your cell phone, take that QR code, um, and that is it. Thank you, everybody, for the time. That was a pleasure.
Cool. I guess we can entertain some questions. To have any question, you can feel free to type it in the question and answer tab.
If you don't have, don't worry. Hope that you have a wonderful conference and see you soon.
Yes, okay. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming, for attending this session. And we still have, I guess, 3 more days. Yeah, oh no, 2 more days for this conference until this conference ends. And so you still have time to register to the other sessions. And yeah, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.